Unless it's. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna record this.
Yeah, and then so just to start out, we're gonna have our panelists. So we have 2 panelists from each discipline. We're just gonna start out with them introducing themselves, and then we'll get on to some questions. So we'll start with the civil reps.
I think that's me first. I'm Liam Sprangers. I'm in 4th year civil engineering. Well, technically it's my 5th year now. I'm the co-captain of the concrete canoe team here at UVic. And that's pretty much all I have for myself, engineering and school related. So I'll pass it off to Aiden.
Thanks, Liam. So I am Aiden. I'm a 4th year civil engineering student right now. I am the co-president of the UVic Seismic Design Team. I am a member of UVic Global Engineering Brigades, and I'm also a member of Surfrider UVic.
Thank you guys. And the mechanical reps.
Hi everyone. My name is Carmen. I'm in my 5th year at mechanical engineering. I am a workshop facilitator with sexualized violence prevention at UVic. I used to be the president of Leadership Through Diversity. You might have seen me around from there. Probably not if you're in 1st year though. And I also right now I'm on co-op as a QA at a local company called Open Ocean Robotics. So that's me.
My name is Keegan. I'm the other mech rep here. So I'm in my 5th year of mechanical engineering. I'm also picking up a minor in electrical systems. So a little bit of a balance with the ECE stuff there. I'm also currently the lead engineer for UVic Rocketry. I used to be team lead for them as well. And that's kind of, I've done some co-op experiences working in rocketry as well. So that's kind of my shtick, I guess.
Thanks, you guys. And the biomed.
Sure. I'm Colin. I'm one of the biomed reps. I'm in 4th year in the elect stream for biomed. We have 2 streams for biomed. I am the BMed team president. BMed is the only biomedical engineering club on campus, biomedical engineering design team. I'm on co-op as a design associate for the Orthotech and Biomech lab here at UVic. And just as recently, I'm also a signal processing consultant at the International Collaboration on Repair Discoveries, which is much easier as just ICORD. And I'll pass it off to Jackie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Moreland. I am in the other stream of biomed, which is the mechanical stream. I'm in my 5th year now. I'm also in the same club as Colin, the BMed club, and I am a mech team co-lead. I'm also currently working on my honors thesis project for a professor on campus, and that's working with some pacemaker and defibrillator related adapters. So that's me.
Thanks, you guys. And electrical.
Hi everyone, my name is Anona. I'm in my 4th year of electrical engineering. I'm also the ESS ECE student representative. I'm currently serving on University Senate as a member at large, and I am a member, although not a super active member, of FSAE on the electrical team, the low voltage team.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert Lee. I'm a computer engineering 4th year, and I've taken a computational intelligence specialization. And I'll be joining Microsoft as a software engineer once I graduate in this semester. And yeah, I'll hand it off to Shayla.
Yeah, thanks, you guys.
Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm Shayla. I'm a 4th year software engineering student here, and I am also a TA for CSE 111 this semester, and I was also a TA for CSE 111 last semester. So I might have seen some of you guys. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Denzel. I'm in my final semester of software engineering as well, and I'm pursuing a specialization in cybersecurity and privacy. And in April, I'll be joining TELUS as a security engineer. Yep.
Yeah, thanks so much, you guys. We are going to start off with some pre-prepared questions, and then after that, we'll open the floor to any of the first years if you guys want to ask any questions. So first question is, why did you choose your discipline? And we'll start with the civil engineering guys, if you guys want to start answering this question. So why did you choose a discipline?
I'll go first. And to be honest, I chose civil engineering because I really like construction, and I didn't totally know how they were going to correlate, but I knew that they did. I also kind of fell into engineering in general. So it was just sort of following the procedure, I guess, to an extent. But I was always sort of looking around town and seeing like, oh, well, where does that water main go? Or like looking at just general city infrastructure, you could say. So it seemed like a natural progression to me.
Nice.
For me, I think civil engineering is like really interesting and relevant because I wanted to design a world that I wanted to live in. So the infrastructure around us, I really wanted to have a part in what that was going to look like. So I think it's super interesting because it's so broad, and I know that every discipline can say that about themselves. Obviously, there's a lot of streams you can take within each discipline, but civil really is so large in that you can be a part of the infrastructure design, like buildings and bridges and everything that's like underneath our feet, making things work. But then you could also go into streams that, like, for example, determine how to like slow traffic patterns and cause less accidents and like be in transportation and safety, or you could be involved in the execution of projects in construction management, or like being on site and, like Liam said, being part of the construction side of things. So there's just so many possibilities, and hopefully you would be applying sustainability in all of those streams too. So there's just a lot of opportunities, and that's why it really drew me in.
Nice, thanks you guys. And to mechanical, why did you choose your discipline?
I'll go first. So yeah, my main interest in mechanical engineering was just that I really liked thermo. Honestly, I liked thermo. I liked fluids. I liked the idea of like, I just found the math to be fun. I found it to be engaging because of how kind of physically accessible it is. Just the idea that you can like look at any kind of process around you that's like on your own scale and kind of explain it away, right? When you learn about the different properties that the materials around you have and how they interact, you can kind of get like an intuitive sense for the world. And that's really what I've gained in mechanical engineering, which is really fun. And specifically, I've looked at kind of the bridge between mechanical and like kind of robotics, and looking at how mechatronics can play into it, because you can't really avoid programming no matter what you go into. So I've kind of ended up with some like software co-ops, but then doing mechanical based stuff. And it's just fun because it's like stuff that you can play with and interact with.
Nice.
Yeah, so for me, to be honest, when I picked my discipline, it was like pretty late in the selection time period. And so what was important to me was kind of picking something that I thought had a good breadth of what you can kind of do with it. And mechanical appealed to me because there's a fair degree of versatility. You take courses that dip into some aspects of electrical. There's pure mechanical. There's overlap with civil, and so in that sense, it's a very like broad field, which is quite appealing. Particularly if you're still kind of feeling things out a little bit, you can always adjust. Yeah, I think anything else would be repeating what Carmen said. So.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, guys. Biomed, why did you choose your discipline?
Okay, I'll hop on first. I partially chose it because it's so new, and it's newer at UVic, but it's also just newer in general. The term itself is pretty new. There's a lot of very exciting research and technology to get sort of on the ground floor with, where just solutions that have never been explored before. And we're seeing a lot of rapid improvement in the sector. So, there's a lot of exciting opportunities. I also like, this sort of mirrors what Keegan said, but I like that it's broad as well. Biomed is broad as well. We have a lot of mech, a lot of elec, and a little bit of bio in there too. So yeah. Jackie?
Yeah, a lot of the same things about kind of how innovative the biomedical field is. I was really intrigued just kind of by the whole like more medical side of it, because that's always a field that's going to be relevant and going to be changing, and it's going to influence a lot of people. And that's kind of one of my main reasons for wanting to go into it, is going to work every day and feeling like you're making a difference in someone's lives, or impacting them in a certain way. So that's one big draw for me. The other thing, kind of to tack on to what Carmen was saying, is like for me there was a lot of overlap between like mech and biomed, and I just really like working with my hands and getting to like feel and touch and look and see how things work, and that side of it is really nice as well.
Nice. Thanks, you guys. And electrical and computer.
So I'll start. I went into electrical engineering because I really like the math and physics that goes into it. I like that electrical engineering is pretty broad in the sense that you can either go into more sort of theoretical or R&D related fields, or you can work in very applied fields. And I felt like I would be graduating with a really good background to move into potentially more theoretical or research related fields, but also with an undergraduate degree that would be very useful and very employable. And I also just really like the idea of being good at circuits. So that is my reason.
Yeah, so for me, it's a lot of what Anona said as well. When I first entered UVic, I actually wanted to work on technologies related to autonomous cars. And I decided that electrical engineering would be the one that I wanted to do. But kind of as like I went through the degree, I found myself drawn more towards the computer side of things. So I jumped over to computer engineering. There's only like a couple courses that are different. And from there, that's kind of where I ended up today.
Thanks, you guys. And last but not least, our software.
I can go first. Yeah, so looking into choosing software, I really enjoyed coding, first of all, and was really interested in doing lots of problem solving, which you do when you're given a coding problem. The other big pull for me was the idea that being in software, you're really committing to lifelong learning. It's an industry that's moving so fast. Stuff that people were using 5 years ago, technology used 5 years ago, you have to learn new things all the time. And it's really cool and exciting. Yeah.
Okay, that's a better answer than mine. For me, when I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to go pursue a career in cybersecurity. So that sort of narrowed things down for me to like computer, electrical, and software. And so what I did was I just looked at the curriculum for all three of those, and I found that software engineering had courses that were focused on that. And that is something I encourage you to do as well. If you're still on the fence about any of these engineering disciplines, maybe take a look at the curriculums and see what sort of courses you'd be taking in like second or third year, and sort of what kind of technical electives are offered as well. So yeah.
Nice, thanks you guys. And we'll move on to the next question. What did you expect and what surprised you? We're gonna switch up the order and maybe also like reverse who goes first within your discipline so that you don't always step on each other's answer. So start with mechanical. What did you expect and what surprised you?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say that my big expectation that was kind of spot on was that you are going to do a lot of kind of statics and a lot of force analysis. You will draw more free body diagrams than you ever imagined. And as far as things that I didn't expect, especially in higher year courses, and this was maybe a bit naive going into it, but I didn't realize, how much of it is driven from kind of an empirical standpoint. Like you stop coming from this first principles, like let's figure everything out, why everything happens, and you start to get into a lot of the kind of these are systems and these are ways of making it work, because it's just the summation of the work that everyone's done before, and you stop kind of maybe coming from the same place. It's not to say that you can't, it's a bit more maybe niche in the higher year courses. So that was a bit of a surprise. It's not necessarily an unwelcome one, I just was not aware of it when I kind of made the choice to go into mechanical.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same, and something about the kind of when you get into that higher level, things start to rely more on empirical data, as Keegan was saying, and I've never realized how much I would love to just like look things up in charts. Like I love to have my little mechanical engineering textbook, and like you're going through problems step by step, and it's very methodical, and you look up the thing in the chart, and like I just find that really fun. That's kind of nerdy, but I guess we're all engineers here, so it's safe to say. But what I expected with mechanical engineering was a lot more SolidWorks. I expected to just be like making 3D models all day and like making parts and creating gears. And for some mech people, that's definitely what you end up doing, is just kind of like doing CAD all the time, and it's loads of fun. But what I found myself drawn to, which was surprising, was, like I said before, that more mechatronic side of things. And I do so much more programming now in my work than I thought I would, just because even if you're working on a mechanical system, if there's any kind of autonomous aspects to it or any kind of sensors you're looking at, it's going to end up being programming. Yeah, it was surprising, but I've found myself to enjoy that even more. So
nice. Thanks, you guys. For biomed, what did you expect? What surprised you?
To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect going in. Like coming out of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do either. I just knew that I liked math and I liked logic and I liked puzzles and I liked solving problems. So going in, I was just kind of blind to what I was actually going to be encountered with. But once I kind of got into the program, I was expecting to see, I guess, a lot more sort of biomechanics or like talking about prosthetics and stuff like that, but that might also just be my kind of bias about what I wanted to do in the program. There's a lot more emphasis on the sort of science side and like bio side and the more sort of lab-based jobs that you might encounter through the biomed program. So that was something that I didn't really expect, but I also found some sneaky ways to like tailor the courses that you're taking to what you're more interested in. So there are options for those people who want kind of a more diverse experience with the program.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. The only additional thing that surprised me is, and it really shouldn't be that surprising if you're using common sense, but I wasn't in first year, is that no one really wants to give you a biomedical co-op right away with a whole ton of responsibility. And so you have to be prepared to work some mechanical and electrical ones, often with like a BME application or sort of relevant to BME, but no one really wants to hand you the plans to a medical device when you're 20 and say, what would you change? So you have to be prepared to do some more menial tasks in co-op. But other than that, Jackie really covered it.
Thanks. Thanks, you guys. And electrical and computer.
I can start things off. So when I joined, I thought that there would be a lot more like computer side of things in computer engineering. Maybe it's just me, but it was a lot more of on the electrical side. Although in the specializations, you do get to pick a lot of software engineering courses. And in terms of what surprised me is how accessible computer vision and machine learning actually is. When I was doing my first internship at Microsoft, I was pretty like anxious about how much I need to learn for computer vision. But after I've taken a couple computer vision courses at UVic, it's actually quite accessible to get started, and there's a lot of tutorials online, so don't shy away from it.
So when I started electrical engineering, one thing I expected was to maybe be a little bit behind my peers on like the more practical side of things. I didn't really grow up like building or tinkering the way that I think some people that enter the program do. Although I think my experience has been maybe more that I'm like a little bit the norm. There are definitely some students that are really good at that kind of thing, but a lot enter the degree program for some of the same reasons that I do. I think what surprised me most about EE was which parts of it you would actually apply to like I would say the majority, or at least in my experience and my cohort's experience, what kind of things you take from the undergraduate degree and apply to your co-ops. So we use a lot of like basic principles, Ohm's law, or for example, if you're doing a power engineering co-op, you would use a lot of basic motor calculations, but not super theoretical stuff or really intense integrals, despite spending a lot of time learning about them. So I think that was kind of an interesting thing for me to experience.
Nice, thanks guys. And then software, what did you expect? What surprised you?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. So I expected it to be all about programming, and that's kind of what you'd expect for software engineering, like, just coding all day. But it's actually way more than just programming. So we take courses that teach us elements of like the entire life cycle of a project. So like requirements gathering, designing, architecture, like software testing. And we also do like a lot of like report writing, presentations and group work. And that was what surprised me. And in some organizations, like that's actually what sets you apart, like a software engineer from a developer, is that a developer might do like more of the programming, whereas a software engineer will be thinking of the bigger picture and the project overall. So,
yeah, I definitely want to iterate on that. I had that same experience where I just assumed that my 4 years was going to be all let's learn to code, and that's definitely not the case. But it's still really cool. Definitely what surprised me the most was how many different kinds of software jobs you can have. Not just what kind of technologies you're working on, but say if you're working on a website, a web application, like there's different software engineers that work on just a single website, whether it's front-end engineers, back-end, you've got DevOps. So just so many people working just to bring one simple website to life. Yeah.
Nice. And our last people.
I'll go. I think everybody else kind of said something that is relevant to civil too, but what I was expecting was a lot more like structural design. It would just be designing roads or bridges or water mains and stuff all day, but it's a lot more of the holistic approach to it. So yeah, the first couple of years are a lot of intro to structural design and stuff like that. But what surprised me later on was the fact that there's parts of civil engineering that I didn't even know existed. And there's a lot of new parts to it too, like green civil engineering. Like I'm doing my capstone project right now on rain garden design and how it can be best implemented into like commercial and residential developments. And I guess the other part is, again, like because it's so broad, they tell us, I think at the first meeting of our civil cohort was, hopefully by the end of your degree, you'll be able to answer the question, what is civil engineering? And I still don't know because you look outside and everything is sort of civil engineering, but it's all sort of, I guess, amalgamated into one. Like we do a lot of programming, a lot of report writing, and it's really the project as a whole that is what's surprising to me, and how they're trying to prepare you for like the job in the later years, but not and less about like the design process and codes and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely would reiterate what Liam said. I thought coming in, it was buildings and bridges and like hard hats and the stereotypical pictures of engineers that you see and hear about. And it really turns out it was a lot more than that. I was quite naive coming into it. Just the bajillion ways that you can apply sustainability and like how much more, yeah, I guess really goes into it, like how much it really takes to get water into your house and what happens after you flush your toilet and like all those things. There's math and science behind how that happens and like what has to happen so that we don't overload the world with this many people. So trying to figure out ways to like design that so that we can accommodate this many people comfortably on our planet. And yeah, it's a lot more that goes into it than I could have ever thought.
Awesome, you guys. Those are all really great answers. Next, question, what is your favorite part and what is your least favorite part? So switching up the orders again a little bit, we'll start with biomed. So favorite part and least favorite part.
Cool. I think I'm gonna go first. And Jackie sort of touched on this earlier, but helping people directly is really cool. It's great to apply your engineering knowledge and build something and be like, oh, that's gonna help someone with a spinal cord injury. That feels great. Also being plugged into like a pretty small community that keeps getting bigger, especially here in Victoria. There's like this, group chats of little small businesses and people that are all trying to make little biomedical startups happen. And that's fun to get plugged into, even if it's just a little bit. My least favorite part is probably that it's a bit of an uphill battle to prove yourself, especially to some old school people who don't know what biomedical engineering is and think you don't know anything. And they try and explain it to you. So that isn't super fun. But the faculty is really supportive with that. So yeah, Jackie?
Yeah, my answer touches on a lot of the same things. A couple things I want to add for my favorite parts is talking on that kind of smaller community. You also feel that when you're in classes and stuff. Your classes are around 30 people-ish, 30 to 40 compared to like 70 plus for other programs. So you get a really nice small community aspect in your classes as well, and you get to know your peers well, your professors well, which can sometimes benefit you down the road. Another favorite for me is like all the lab work and kind of diverse aspects of each course. There is like the elec and mech stream, but even in either stream, you get to touch on a lot of different areas, which gives you a nice sort of range of exposure to things that might interest you and allows you to sort of pick out what you might want to pursue as a future career. Some of my negative points, Colin touched on a big one. It is a bit of an uphill battle to show that you know things, but yeah, you work through that. The other thing I want to mention is, at least for me, like being more interested on sort of the mech side, I did find it a little annoying that some of the courses that the mech kids take, we don't take in our sort of regular stream, which I think put us at a little bit of a disadvantage when it came to looking for co-ops. But you do eventually learn most of the things that like the mech kids learn as well. It's just like a little bit later down the road. So yeah.
Nice, thanks guys. And ECE.
So I can start this one. My favorite part of electrical engineering, I think, has been the variety of subjects and challenges that are included in the degree. I don't think anybody is like amazing at every single part of it. But finding the aspect of the degree that I really love has been, I think, the most rewarding part. It's definitely been, I think, the biggest victory. There are definitely moments in the degree that I feel a little bit burnt out or parts that can be kind of overwhelming, but finding that area that you really like because it's such a vast degree, I think for me, it's been definitely really fulfilling. My least favorite part, I think I would have to say there are some courses, at least when I have been going through my degree, that require you to kind of understand the prof maybe more than the material. And I've always felt that that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, just in terms of kind of spending more time figuring out how to do well in the course, depending on who's teaching it or what's happening with it, as opposed to just learning the material and then as a result kind of doing well. But I think making my peace with that has sort of helped a little bit. So yeah, that's my answer.
For me, it's a lot of what Anona said as well. In terms of what I liked learning about learning and understanding a lot of like the technical elements of computer related stuff that you might actually see on the news. I remember when the Intel meltdown and Spectre vulnerabilities were disclosed, I had just learned about computer architecture and pipelining and branch instructions and stuff like that. And then I was reading through the reasoning behind it, and I like understood a significant portion, and that was super satisfying to like get that. In terms of what I maybe not like as much, I wish that there were more applied like software engineering courses in second and third year of computer engineering. You kind of have to wait until like later in the third and fourth year to pick those things.
Okay, thanks you guys. And software, so favorite and least favorite parts.
Yeah, I can start. So probably my favorite part of software is the amount of opportunity that you're given, just on not just the availability of jobs, but where you want to live. You can literally do a software job from anywhere. Whatever you're interested in, there's a software solution for it, and there's probably a company working on that software solution. So you really have a chance to get into whatever you would really like to do, which I think is really cool. My least favorite part would probably be that sometimes there can be this idea in software that you are a software engineer, but your hobby is also coding, and all you do is code, and kind of that culture around you're only good if you're coding all the time. And I think sometimes this can be a little harmful and cause a lot of imposter syndrome with lots of people. But from what I've seen so far, there's so many people in software that have succeeded without having software or coding as their one and only passion. You can have other likes and interests besides coding and still do really well in software.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Sheila was saying. It's a very diverse field, and that's sort of what segues into my favorite thing, which was the technical electives of the program. So fourth year is really when you start getting to choose what you want to take as technical electives, and that's when you really get to what you're interested in. You get to actually do it, and the instructors in some of those courses are actually really good because they have full-time jobs in those industries, and then they teach like 1 or 2 classes on the side, and those are the best ones because they have like the real world industry experience, and then they've decided to impart some of that knowledge. Another good thing is that like the availability of our classes is also really good as well because we share some of the courses with computer science. So some of our courses might actually be offered like 2 or even 3 times per year. Least favorite part though, I gotta say, were any of the courses that needed calculus, which just happened to mostly be ECE 260, 310, and 360. You can actually ask most of SEng students, most of my friends at least in SEng, and they're gonna tell you the same thing, that like those are the 3 courses that once you've finished them, you feel like you've actually finished the degree. But that's actually a good part of the program, is that software engineering students are the only ones that actually don't have to take Math 200 and 204. So that's like icing on the cake.
You guys are lucky. Yeah, so next, civil. Favorite and least favorite parts.
Oh, I think everybody said something that I was like, oh yeah, I like that about my part too. But what I really liked, at least it shows up more in the upper levels, is a lot of project-based learning. So and it becomes really tangible for what you're going to end up doing later on. So the fact that you see like, here's a problem, and then you have a group of people that you're going to work on it. I thought that was really fun. I would say my least favorite part was some of the like courses that I thought were like, well, I'm never going to do this in my life, just because civil is really broad. But you need to touch on those just so you get a full understanding. And the other part was the schedule too, because civil's really new, the schedule is pretty rigid. So I took an 8-month co-op as my first one. So right away I was off stream of where I started, but that almost became a blessing in disguise, because then I've had a lightened course load from then on, which was pretty nice, because not doing 6 courses is sort of a lifesaver to, I guess, your mental health.
Yeah, I would echo the project-based learning that Liam said. My favorite part is definitely the the design process. So getting to learn the actual steps of that and then apply it in co-op is just like such an advantage, and it's actually just super fun. Like that's what we're all here to do. We're all engineers. We're all problem solvers. So being able to take a problem that you're actually interested in and try and find different solutions and different pathways to get there, and everyone collaborating on trying to find the best way to make that work is really cool. I would say my least favorite part, and this is like so just personal opinion, a lot of people really like it, but I don't enjoy the construction / project management side of things. I don't mind managing people, but when it comes to the construction schedules and the Gantt charts and all that sort of stuff, it's less interesting to me. So the fact that you actually have to get involved with that is like, but it is so helpful to understand where your peers will be. And if you're part of the design process, someone is going to have to execute the process for you. So you need to understand where they're coming from and vice versa. So yeah, I guess exactly what Liam said. Again, there are some courses where you're like, I never want to do this, but you have to do it. But it is worth getting through.
Nice. Thanks, guys. And last but not least, Mechanical.
Yeah, so I will say that my favorite part to this day is still just like doing the physics, doing the math, the like kind of problem solving that mech has. The visual aspect of it, I love just like the fact that any problem that you're tackling, you can see it, you can draw it, you can like feel like it's in your hands. And that's like, I always knew that's what I liked. And so I'm super happy that like that expectation was fulfilled, because to this day, yeah, just I love doing mech problems. I find it really fun. And I think the least favorite part for me, and this might be true for other disciplines and just engineering in general, is kind of how traditional it can be. It can kind of be like this old boys club of like, yeah, we like have this way that we do things, and like it's been this way for decades or hundreds of years, and like all this tradition that kind of can be a bit stagnating or discouraging. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to like challenge that and kind of like notice that maybe some of the things you learn might be in this like older paradigm, but then maybe you can do something to like shake things up a little bit. So.
So there is so many things I love about the mech degree. I'm gonna have to limit it, but I'm gonna give a shout out to 2 things real quick. First of all, any of the like fluids and thermodynamics courses, especially in upper years, are like the best. The material, very interesting. The math is like beautiful, and the profs are generally pretty good. So it's a good time. But other than that, I'd say like when you start to get into like actual design projects, whether it's through the clubs or upper year like project courses or co-ops, it's immensely satisfying to kind of see something through from concept to like physical, tangible thing, and have that kind of sense of like, yeah, I designed that and that now exists. So that's probably, I'd say, the highlight of the degree and the work after. My least favorite part, and this is actually, I think, a good answer to the question that someone just posted in the chat, but my least favorite part is like the kind of first 2 semesters of like pure mech. I think and this might be true for like the other departments too, but that's before it gets, you kind of get focused on what your interests are and like find what kind of clicks for you with it. And so those 2 semesters can be a bit dry and a little bit of a harder grind. But once you get through that, it's kind of like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and it starts to become a lot more enjoyable, I think. And yeah, that's my take on it.
Thanks, guys. That's definitely true for probably most of the disciplines. Also, sorry if you guys are asking questions in the chat. I can't see it right now, but we will get to the questions after. I think this is the last question, so then I'll get to what you guys are asking. So last one, what kind of co-ops have you done? And we'll shake up the order and start with ECE.
Sure, I can start things off. So I've done a couple at Microsoft. The first one was in Vancouver on the Garage team. And I worked on a mobile application that used machine learning for chest X-ray diagnosis. And then I did one in 2 of them actually in Seattle area on working on front end and then back end. And then I found out I liked back end a lot more. So That's what I'll be doing full time. And the Seattle ones involved working directly on a team and trying to ship a project that's like fairly small and containable, but you can also work with the team on kind of like a real life software engineer workload.
So my first two co-ops were with the UVic Computer Help Desk, actually, supporting UVic faculty, staff, members of campus with UVic resource stuff. So it was kind of IT related. And I know a couple other people here also did their co-ops there. My third co-op was with the project management office, also in university systems. So I managed projects directly related to cybersecurity. So that was a really great experience. And then my final, I did actually 5. So my last 2 were with an engineering firm in Vancouver, and I did power engineering and designed power layouts for commercial tenant properties.
Nice, thanks you guys. And software.
Yeah, I can start this one off. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so my first co-op that I did was actually at Science Venture, which is a summer camp for kids at UVic. So I taught a coding camp right after first year, which was pretty fun. And then like some other people might say this, I got to work part-time as well after that from my co-op at Science Venture. So I got to teach a girls coding club throughout the year of my second year, which was really fun to do during school. Yeah, and then my second co-op, which was an 8-month, I worked at a company called Moz in Vancouver, which basically was a company that provided tools for other companies to see how well they ranked on Google and Bing. So our company would do a scrape of Google and Bing for certain searches in Google or Bing for a company, and then we would tell them how high they ranked in Google and Bing, and then they can do different techniques to try and get their ranks higher for certain searches. So that was really cool, working with a lot of data, which was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so my first co-op was also at the Computer Help Desk. So I won't describe it too much because Nona already went through it, but yeah, Nona and Alex are coworkers of mine as well. My second co-op was as a automated software tester, also at UVic. So I was working on like automated scripts to test some of the software and websites that UVic uses. Third co-op was as a security consultant at TELUS, and I was helping to deploy a vulnerability scanner for their websites. And finally, I'm actually ending on a co-op right now as a security analyst at the BC Pension Corporation. And in this one, I'm doing sort of like more of an operational role, so helping with the day-to-day tasks. And just as a final thing, like co-op is definitely like the best time for you to find out like what you want to do. And if you don't know what that is, then like you can at least find out what you don't want to do. So it's kind of like a perfect opportunity because you only have to commit for like 4 to 8 months. So it's like a perfect sampler. So yeah.
Well, co-op's perfect time to figure out what you want to do, but it also really helps you narrow it down. And next we have civil. So co-ops you've done.
That's me. So I did my first 2 co-ops with Metro Vancouver, which is sort of the, I guess, the authority that deals with water, wastewater, solid waste, and some parks and stuff too for like the Lower Mainland. And what I was doing there was helping to schedule some projects, and I also got to work at the reservoirs there for drinking water, working with what was it, source level and summer drought scenarios. So I got to do some Excel programming to figure out whether or not we were going to have water restrictions for the year in the summer. And then that was 8 months. And then I did my third co-op at the University of Victoria in the civil department, working as a concrete research assistant. So I got to help a PhD student with their research. And that got me really interested into concrete, which sounds kind of lame, but only in civil. And there was doing some really cool research with like durability of repairs and stuff like that. And that also got me into the concrete canoe team, which is pretty great if anybody wants to join. And my last co-op was with Hull Constructors, and I was a project coordinator there, so I did a lot of project management stuff. So it was scheduling and procurement and estimation for excavation projects. So I got to play on site a lot, watch excavations, watch excavators move dirt and stuff. They let me drive the roller compactor a bunch. So that was pretty cool. Got to work with survey equipment. And yeah, so that's 4 co-ops. I think it was pretty good. And I think Aiden sort of had the opposite experience in co-ops with me, or like the other side of what civil is. So I think this is a good transition.
Yeah, so I did my first 2 co-ops with WSP, who, if you guys don't know, is a ginormous global engineering consulting firm. So I did my first one in Prince George and then my second one here in Victoria. I was working mostly on the design process in both of them, but my first co-op, because I didn't really know anything, I got to spend a lot of time with CAD and just learning from the few engineers that were there. Everything was really hands-on, so that was a really great experience. If you have a chance to do a co-op that's at a smaller firm, especially for one of your first ones, I would really recommend it. Just to, I mean, obviously WSP is not a small firm, but a smaller branch even, to try and get some more hands-on experience. That was super helpful, especially the CAD experience, because in civil that definitely can get you far. My second one was, I was then given a lot more responsibility. So working on design projects on my own to an extent. And then I actually with that, because WSP is such a large company, I was able to assist some other branches. So I was working mostly with the civil branch, but I was also able to attend the Wood Innovation Conference with the structural design team. I was able to do some work for the transportation sector, some field surveys, and some stuff with the building science group as well. So it was really nice to see just like all the avenues you could take through civil. And then my third one, which I'm currently working right now, is at Gwai and Islander Engineering. So they're kind of 2 separate companies, but it's the same team working on both of them. So Gwai is a lot more relations with First Nations peoples and helping them with grant funding and then all of their infrastructure projects. And Islander does a lot more municipal infrastructure projects. But again, I'm doing the design process and helping them actually a lot with social media marketing. So that's another side you could get into. And then I'm also working part-time right now. It's not technically a co-op, but with a professor in the civil engineering department, helping to showcase people of color and women in the groundwater research space. So I'm helping him make kind of interview videos where they're able to showcase their research and promote kind of what they're doing right now. So that's just another example of something you could get into. Not really civil related, but obviously through the connections and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Nice, thanks guys. And mechanical.
Yeah, I'll start us off, I guess. So I've actually done 6 co-op semesters at this point now with 3 different groups. So my first one, I did 4 months with the Ministry of Transportation in town, which was pretty typical for kind of a first co-op. It was like document management, maybe a little bit of AutoCAD, but nothing all that engineering. Public sector jobs are kind of nice because they tend to have good work-life balance though. So it was a job where I got to leave it at like I never took work home with me, even like thought about it after. It's very like just done and out of your mind. And then for the second one, I did a year-long stint at Rocket Lab in Auckland, New Zealand. So I worked as kind of a production designer supporting production of the rockets, which was pretty cool. So it was a design co-op. Basically just anytime they have a new component or they have an inefficient design process, they would kind of give me some parameters and ask me to improve it. Yeah, I was there for a few rocket launches and, you know, I worked on pieces that ended up going to space, which is a pretty wild feeling. And then last, I did an 8-month stint doing research at UVic with one of the profs, the heat transfer prof, working on a project for improving the emission quality from marine diesel engines, so removing nitrous oxides that they emit. That was kind of hindered a little bit from COVID, so the experience was, a little bit tarnished by that, but it was still a cool experience. And I guess collectively, the co-ops gave me a pretty good breadth because I've tried, private sector, public sector, and then worked a little bit in academia. So, yeah.
Yeah, so before I declared, I actually thought I was going to go into software, and so I landed an 8-month software co-op. Then I declared mech. So my first co-op was actually at a company called Smart Technologies in Calgary, and I was a software tester, which has actually really been really useful in my job now. So that's been cool. But yeah, 8 months doing automated software tests at kind of a big software company. Wasn't super into that culture that I think Shayla was talking about, where like everyone went to a hackathon on the weekends. I was like, that's not me. But then my next co-op was at a super small firm in Victoria, like 20 people. I was doing lots of CAD, lots of documentation, and just kind of like the advantage of working at a small firm is you can kind of just do everything. Just like ask the right people and they'll give you fun work. So did lots of stuff there. And then now I'm at an 8-month co-op at another small company in Victoria that kind of like is a perfect blend of the two things. So my mech co-op that I did was like an oceanographic measurement, and my co-op that I'm in now is also doing autonomous boats essentially that take data on the ocean, and I'm doing kind of testing and quality analyzing software and hardware testing for like this mechanical system. So kind of like a nice little blend there, which is perfect. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. And biomed.
We'll try and keep it short and sweet since we're kind of at the end here. So if you have any questions, just give me a shout after this. My first co-op was in bioinformatics. So I was working on making Python scripts to kind of streamline the process for identifying mutations in the human genome and then linking them to phenotypes in patients with certain rare diseases. My second co-op was at a really small startup in Calgary. They were making these sort of anatomically correct models of the knee so that medical residents could practice doing common knee surgeries on those. So I helped with some material design work and also making a holder that would mimic like knee and hip movements. And then my last two co-ops were at a company called Dometic in Vancouver, and they work a lot with marine equipment and steering solutions. And I had a ton of hands-on experience there with assembling prototypes and testing, and just got a nice exposure to a lot of things that I hadn't really done in school. So like got to work with soldering and PCB design and machining and like hydraulic systems and stuff like that. So yeah, those are my 4.
Cool. So with my co-ops, it's kind of almost been one really long co-op. I got very lucky with my first one, where a clinician scientist in Vancouver who works for iCord at UBC had a device that he wanted, and he sent basically a mass email to UVic students, and some of us responded to it. And 2 of us got the job, and it's just building basically an arm wrestling machine that does objective measurements for upper nerve injuries, basically. I actually have a coordination disorder myself, so it was kind of cool to be on the other side of the lab for once. Yeah, I did that as my first co-op. I got a cool co-op that gave me a cool keychain halfway through, which was making face shields this summer with Dr. Willerth. But in the background, I was working on that other project. And guess what? I am still working on that other project. So yeah, that's been a really neat project. I got to do a lot of mech, elec, and software. And I'm kind of the only person working on it now. So it's like the whole thing has to get done by me, which can be overwhelming, but has been really good experience. But yeah.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, that is all of our pre-prepared questions. So now, if any of you will open the floor to if anybody has, if any of the first years have questions, I will look at your comments in the chat now just to see if anybody had any questions. Yeah, feel free to speak up or type them in the chat. And then after this, if you don't want to ask a question, just to everybody, we'll go into breakout rooms after a couple minutes, and you can always just like move around between the breakout rooms just to ask specific questions to the different disciplines. The breakout rooms will be like per discipline. So yeah. Okay, a question for Keegan that I don't know if you already answered it. How much more difficult is it taking on an electrical systems minor on top of mech? Also, would you say that it has benefited in any way so far compared to just a mech degree?
Yeah, so the minor is 6 extra courses. You can divide that up however you want. So I've just kind of been throwing them in wherever I have an extra spot in a semester, but some people just do it as 1 or 2 semesters of just dedicated courses. I mean, the practical payoff on it has been, I guess, limited by the fact that I haven't really, had a position to apply it since I've decided to take it, because it was a fairly recent, I guess, decision. But I enjoy, I guess, the math and physics and just learning about something new. And so my kind of philosophy was just, there's no such thing as, a bad time learning something new. And so I would say that it has paid off in terms of like what I expected to get out of it versus what I wanted to get out of it, or versus what I did get out of it. But in terms of like, have I got a job using my elect minor? Not really, but yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Another question. Oh, somebody had a question. What was the hardest year for you guys? So maybe one person from each discipline to answer. I guess we'll start with civil. What was the hardest year?
I think we all answered in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we did mostly, but I would say second year, first year is tough, as you guys know, but I would say second year, just trying to transition into your actual discipline is like, it's like, oh my goodness, like, am I really prepared for this? And then after that, it gets so much easier.
If anybody else wants to touch on that, that's fine, but you guys also answered it, so. Does chemistry have a large presence in electrical engineering? I don't know.
I think Robert answered it, but not really. We have like one course. I didn't like it, but you get it over with and then you.
Is there any question that wasn't answered? Let me see.
There was a question about whether there were any first year courses or projects that helped make our decision. And I would say that, sorry, I was like, I had an answer ready. We did like a robot project in our first year. I don't know if you guys did that.
Yeah.
But for me, I thought I was going into software. And so I did the coding part. I was like, guys, I'm doing the coding part. It's going to be great. And I really loved it. And so yes, in a way, now that I'm doing lots of coding, it really did affect my decision. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say about that.
Yeah, I think
I would say
oh, sorry.
Same, but the opposite way. I was like, I want nothing to do with this. I can make the schedule and everything else, organize our team, but I do not want to build this robot and I do not want to code this robot. So definitely the same. And as well, the project in first year where you have to actually make the poster and like do the, how are you gonna, for us it was like increase the modal split or whatever, like that one did show me that I liked the report writing and the design process and all that sort of stuff. So I would say both of those are really helpful, whether it's negating or being positive.
Yeah, nice. I feel bad for you guys having to do this robot project online. That's got to be a lot worse. I was gonna say, before we get on to the rest of the questions, just for the people who don't have any questions and would like to head out, Alex, should we do the draw now just quickly so that people who don't have questions can head out?
Yeah, actually, I feel like a lot of these questions are a little bit more discipline specific. So what I'll do is I'll do the draw, and then we can do everybody, put everybody in breakout rooms. And then if you have a question for like a specific discipline, you can do that.
And you should be able to move around breakout rooms on your own. So if you go into one and then you have a question for somebody else, like don't worry about getting stuck. But after we do the draw, if you do have a question for everybody, you can just let us know, and then we'll ask it before we split up. So
Okay, cool. So you do have to be here to win this. I wrote this down and there's been a few people leave. So we'll just redraw if somebody's not here, because I'll need to get like your emails so I can send them to you. But I'm just going to quickly run through the names as fast as I can, just to make sure that we have everybody, because I don't want it to be like unfair or anything. So we have Truman Gao.
wait, run through all the names of people that were
All the
here.
first year students, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be fast. Vashika Jane, Aiden Watson, Amanda Curvin, Benjamin Pierce, Callum Clark, Carl Wu, Christian Castro, Jack Walmsley, Christopher James, Daniel Heddle, Dimitri Polito, sorry if I'm messing these up, Ethan Swain, Gurneil Brar, Fauzan Hussein, Felix Edwards, Ben Pierce, Jack Cotter, Jack Klobker, oh, okay, James Reese, Levi Bain, Logan Mooney, Leah Dempsey, Kirthana Ramnatha. I'm so sorry, you guys. Kaz, there's no last name. Sabine Stobe, Thomas Chapman, Rachel C, Nicholas Faulkner, Mohammed Mustafa, Jovan Ray, Megan Fries, Matthew Jodane, something, McKenna Kirk, Matuz Domawicks, Joshua Rees, Jaina, Jordan Kawan, Japjot Dylan, Jan Hoffmeyer, McKeon McDonald. Did I miss anybody? And I'm so sorry. I feel like I messed up so many people's names. Okay, cool.
Other than, I know.
Oh, did I
Logan
miss?
here,
Okay.
but-
I missed Daniel. I will write you down. Okay. Okay. You're in there. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start with the I'll start with the discipline patch. So that's just like a cute little patch with the discipline of your choice on it. So I'm gonna hold this here.
Sorry, we didn't have a picture of it. There's like all the different ones.
Yeah, I had a hard time finding one. Okay, and the winner of the discipline patch is Jack Walmsley. So if you won something, please direct message me your email so that I can figure out your address so we can send it to you. Cool, and then we will do the UVic engineering sweater in your choice of gray or blue. And that is gonna be Callum Clark. So yeah, please, is Callum Clark here? Yes, he is. Jack Walmsley is also here, perfect. Okay, yeah, please message me your emails. And then we're gonna have the $25 Tim Hortons gift card. And that is gonna be Jack Cotter. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but yes, please send me your email. And the big boy, which is the UVic engineering jacket. This is worth $95, guys. So this is a big one. The big winner of that one is going to be Daniel Wang.
Yeah,
Woo!
nice. Okay. Congrats to you guys, everybody who won. Yeah, so I think we will go into the breakout rooms so that people can ask regular questions and people who don't have questions can head out. Thank you to all the panelists who are sticking around right now. But I did want to mention that ways to get in touch with us are these ways. You can also email us. Our emails are on our website. And when we are back on campus, that is our ESS Student Lounge or ESS office. And yeah, we're excited to see everybody there. And yeah, so Alex will open the breakout rooms. And if you do have questions for the different disciplines, you can move around. And yeah, if you can't like select a breakout room yourself, because I know sometimes you like have to update it first and weird stuff happens, just like message us and let us know. And we'll put you into the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, so to get into the breakout rooms, it's just the three, if you click on the three dots at the bottom and then select breakout rooms, you can pick which one to go into.
Okay, if you don't have that option, just hang out for a sec, and once everybody's gone, we can like put you into the one that you want. Because for some reason, like some people can't go into one.
I think it's just that they don't have the most updated version of
Yeah.
Zoom, I think, but we can put you in the rooms that you want to be in.
Yeah. I guess we'll start with Aiden. Which room do you want to start in? Mechanical. Alex, do you know how to do that? Okay.
Pretty sure.
And Carmen wants to go in mechanical too. Yeah, no problem, you guys. Feel free to head out if you don't have questions. And yeah, if you need to go into a different room, just let us know. Biomed for Greniel.
That's the best one.
Alex is in biomed.
Yeah.
And software, Jack. Yeah, sorry about these technical difficulties, guys. There's like a weird update that you have to do.
Oh, ECE for Christopher.
Yeah. And
boom. Now it's just us.
wait, did you put, okay. Logan
Yeah.
said he actually had to leave. He had to go climbing or something. He texted me.
Okay,
So
cool.
here.
Okay, I'm trying to, okay. I know Daniel won the jacket. Jack Walmsley, I think, won the patches, right? I know I did this badly. I just kind of put them in a pile and then I was like, oh no.
Wait, if
And
you
then-
read out the names, I'll probably remember.
Okay, so between Callum Clark and Jack Cotter, who won the sweater and who won the gift card?
Wait, Callum.
Jack Cotter and then Callum Clark. I think Jack Cotter won the...
I think Jack Cotter won the Tim Hortons gift card.
That's what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna go with that. And if he's like, hey, I actually got the sweater, I'll just be like, hey, I'll just send you both.
Can they move around?
Yeah, you can like leave and then go into another one.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I just want to see what's going on in the civil hub.
Yeah, I might pop in a biomed for a sec.
Opportunities.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, through that versus like